Okay, we're talking about a little bit more about inequalities today. And what we do today is it's going to be one step as well, one-step inequalities like we did yesterday. So the algebra shouldn't be too much. We do need to talk about something here before we move on. So let's say I have something like 2 is greater than 3. I'm talking about multiplying and dividing. So let's multiply both sides by 4. So I'm going to multiply this side by 4 and multiply this side by 4. And before we could multiply both sides without even thinking about it. You just multiply by whatever you need to. And this is actually going to work out well as well. 4 times 2 is 8, and 3 times 4 is 12. And so what's true about this? Well, 8 is still less than 12. This didn't affect anything about my sign. Let me scooch that up there. Okay, this didn't affect anything about the sign. When I multiply by 4, well, it's still less than. 8 is less than 12. Okay, let's do another one here, but instead I'm going to multiply by a negative number. Let's say I'm going to multiply by negative 2. So let me scooch this up for the sake of the people in the back. Let's multiply this by negative 2. And of course, when I multiply by a negative like that, I put it in parentheses so it doesn't look like a subtraction problem. Over here, I don't need the parentheses because it's not going to look like a subtraction problem because the negative is out front. Okay, on the left-hand side, negative 2 times 2. Remember, 2 times 2 is 4, and a negative times a positive is negative. On the right-hand side, 3 times 2 is 6. A positive times a negative is negative. Now, remember that on a number line, the negative numbers are in the opposite order. Okay, so when I have this here, well, negative 4 is greater than negative 6. Okay, so let me make a note here. This is basically just when you multiply or divide by a negative. So when you multiply or divide by a negative, switch the inequality. Switch the inequality around. Switch the inequality. I want to abbreviate inequality. I-N-E. Now I'm just going to spell it out. Okay? So I multiply by a negative number, so I have to switch the direction of the inequality. Instead of less than, now it's greater than. Remember, less than is the one that kind of looks like an L. Less than looks like an L, so if it doesn't look like an L, it is greater than. We could do the number monster as well. I like that, but number monster eats the bigger number. So here 3 is bigger, so it's facing toward the 3. Here the negative 4 is bigger, so it's open toward the 4. You can draw little teeth on there if you want to be fun about it. Okay, so let's do a couple examples. I have 2 I'll do, then 2 you'll do, then 1 I'll do, then 1 you'll do. Now, let me get my green out here. Okay, so 2x is greater than negative 6. 2x is greater than negative 6. Okay, well I want to isolate the x, get the x by itself. This means 2 times x. 2 times x. Well, to get rid of times, I'm going to divide. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2. I have x and negative 3 there. 6 divided by 2 is 3. A negative divided by a positive is negative. Now, do I need to switch the sign here? Well, no, I don't need to switch the sign because you need to look at what you did. What did I multiply or divide by on my work there? What did I divide by? Well, I divided by a positive 2. And if I divide by a positive, it doesn't change. So keep the same inequality. You have to look at what you divided by. Okay, you could have negatives in your answers, you could have negatives up here, but it's what you divide by that affects whether or not you switch. So that one was okay. Let's do another one. Negative g over 5. Negative g over 5 is less than or equal to 9. Okay, negative g over 5 is less than or equal to 9. Well, I'm going to multiply by negative 5. Okay, this means g divided by 5, and it's negative as well. And whether the negative is out front or whether the negative is down here with the 5, you have to multiply by a negative anyway to get rid of it. So let's just do that all at once. So divided by negative 5, I'm going to multiply by negative 5. Put those in parentheses as well, because that negative might look like subtraction. Parentheses all over. I probably went a little too much with it, but that's okay. Okay, now over here I just have AG. Okay, negative 5 divided by negative 5, everything cancels out. Or you could say 5 divided by 5, and then a negative times a negative is positive. 9 times negative 5 is negative 45. And what did I do? I multiplied by a negative number. That's what I did, so I do need to switch that around. Okay, and to finish off, I didn't graph. So let me go back and graph. Almost forgot about that. Let me get my blue out. Okay, x is greater than negative 3. So let me put negative 3 and 0. It is just greater than, so leave it open. Think of numbers that are greater than negative 3. 0 is greater than negative 3. 10 is greater than negative 3. So let me draw my arrow toward those numbers. Awesome. Your arrow, when you draw it, should distinctly start at the point there. I should see something there. Don't just put a little arrowhead over here by itself. That's not very clear, because that could just be on the number line as well. Okay, down here, g is greater than or equal to negative 45, so negative 45, 0. This one, we're going to fill it in, because it's or equal to. Okay, and greater than, numbers that are greater than negative 45. Well, 0 is greater than negative 45. All those positive numbers are greater than negative 45, so let's draw an arrow like that. Okay, let me give you a couple to try. Okay, so try it. What do I have there? R over 3 is less than negative 5. And 7 is less than negative 14x. And let me move that up. So R over 3 is less than negative 5. And 7 is less than negative 14x. Go ahead and try both those out.